Hello guys, today we will discuss about the topic Employee Stock Ownership Plan ESOP. We will discuss the details of this topic and let's start with it. First of all, we will see why everyone is talking about this topic ESOP. So guys, Indian startups collectively raised record of $24.5 billion last year. Little credit of all of this goes to ESOPs too. They influence consumer spending, boost employment at all levels, and provide innovative solutions for unaddressed problems. The problem is they might not necessarily have the resources to afford this talent. Now guys, it is something that is next to difficult for any company or for a startup to acknowledge and remunerate senior employees to remain in the company. So they came up with ESOPs because the employees cannot afford lakhs of money for remuneration. In another way, the business ensures that their employees are on board and same time very happy at the workplace. So this is why everyone is talking about this ESOP. So let's see the next part. What is employee stock ownership? ESOP. Ownership plan actually. ESOP. So let's see. Now stock ownership plan ESOP is one such plan in which workers have the option to invest in the company's share at a discounted price or with additional advantages at any time in the future. Employee stock ownership plans or ESOPs motivate employees to work more and perform a better job. Now ESOPs are offered to prospective recruits to attract the finest people during the early phases of a business. Now we will see some terminologies kept in mind for the better understanding of ESOPs. What are they? So let's see. Grant of option, that is the issues of the right given by the company to its employee to buy shares of the company. Next is vesting period. Now this vesting period refers to the amount of time of an employee must work before acquiring right to exercise the options. Now next is the vesting. Now this is something that is earning the right of the employee to exercise the options. Now next come to the exercise period. Now in exercise period is something a period after the vesting period within which the employee has to exercise its option. Now the last but not the least, strike price or exercise price, that is something what you need to pay to convert the stock option to a share. So let's see an example. So let's take an example. Now for example, we can say that if a company employed Ashutosh with a early package of 10 lakh, the company has decided that half of the salary will be in the form of ESOP. In such case, Ashutosh will wait for a certain time period, vesting period, before he can exercise his right to purchase those specific number of shares. So this is about what is employee stock ownership plan. Now next, how does ESOP work? So let's see. Many Indian companies include Reliance, Wipro, Infosys Limited already use the trust route to implement the ESOP scheme. Now it is recommended that startups option for the administration of ESOP by its board of director rather than the creation of a trust. An ESOP trust sometimes results to disorganized kind of things that later leads to a mess in their ESOP grants. Next, what's the flow of the ESOP issues? Now here we will see the details that ESOP give you the right to buy company shares and for a modest sum at a price of lower than what shares are actually worth. Now guys, a startup can offer employees ESOPs instead of cash, and if the company goes well in future, these shares could potentially be worth as a whole lot more. So this is about the flow of ESOP issues. Now next, how ESOPs are different from sweat equity. So let's see. ESOP give you the right to buy company shares for modest sum at a price lower than what shares are actually worth. Now a startup can offer employees ESOPs instead of cash. Now guys, and if the company does well in the future, the shares could potentially be worth a whole lot more. Now if an employee puts in the effort, management could just now if an employee puts in the effort, management could just choose to compensate her with the part ownership in the company. But then there's another alternatives. Sweat equity, not options to own stock but direct ownership. Now sweat is a form of equity that gives you direct ownership. So this is about the sweat equity. Now it is about actually ESOPs are different from sweat equities. We get the difference between the ESOP and the sweat equity. Now let's see the next part. In the next part we will see, are ESOPs are taxable? The answer is yes. Employee stock ownership, this ESOP are taxable. Now however, the tax we must pay are different from nation to know, that we all know, depending on their own legislation. Now if we hold ESOPs in India, we have to pay tax twice. Now the first is if we exercise our right to ESOPs and acquire them, and the second is when we sell them. Now the level of tax we must pay is determined by two factors: the sum of profit we made from the stock we sell on the length of our vesting. So this is the answer of the ESOPs are taxable or not. So let's see the next part. In the next part we will see the disadvantages of ESOPs to the company. Now when ESOPs are turned into stock, the shareholdings of the company's founder are decreased in the proportion in the number of ESOPs. Now the advantage of the company, that employees have the potential to make a lot of money and build wealth if a business becomes a tremendous success in the future. Now we will see the disadvantage of ESOPs to employees. So let's see. Now accepting ESOPs is likely to playing the lottery or buying lottery tickets. Both wins and both loses are the possibilities. Now as a result, ESOPs are an excellent tool for business to recruit skilled personnel, but they are too hazardous for employees. Now, employees must be assured of the company future development and should check to verify whether all necessary documentation are in place or not. So let's see the advantages of ESOPs in to the employee. Now, employees have the potential to make a lot of money and build wealth. Now, if the business becomes a tremendous success in the future. Now we will see the confusion aspects of ESOPs. Now guys, do you plan to keep the same number of shares until you leave the company? No, not at all actually. The business or startups may begin by handing you 500 shares, but when the company expands and needs to seek additional capital, the shares may be divided. Now guys, share if the share splitting is done at the ratio of 1:10, our 500 shares will be doubled by 10, giving us 5,000 shares. Now this simply implies that we now have 5,000 shares valued 1 lakh rupees instead of 500. Now guys, our monetary worth is same, but the value of individual shares drops as the share splitting ratio increases. Now guys, we have come to an end of this topic. So guys, before that we have another part, that what all should be kept in mind before accepting this ESOPs. It is the last part of this topic. So let's see. Employees should keep certain things in mind before accepting ESOPs from the startups. You should go through the agreement thoroughly before signing or agreeing to the terms and conditions. That we must all, as we all know, that we must go through the legal papers before signing or agreeing the terms and conditions. You need to make a smart move between good CTC or CTC plus or CTC plus ESOPs. Now both are having their advantages and disadvantages of having them. Now the most important thing is to evaluate whether the startups has strengths to survive in the market in the long term. And it is also very important to know the growth of the potential of the startups before accepting the ESOPs. Now ESOPs are different from shares. If an employee buys ESOPs and this tenure gets ended before vesting period, the ESOPs are lost. Now ESOPs are considered as employee perks and taxed twice by the income tax slabs actually. So it is our end of this topic. So guys, we have just ended with this topic. So guys, if you have any question related to economics and finance, feel free to ask us through comments. We will always feel happy and humble to discuss on the topics that is mentioned by our viewers. So feel free to ask any doubts about economy to us through comments. So guys, thank you for listening and stay tuned till the next video. Thank you guys.